Hello, welcome to episode number 13 of the book set Completionist. My name is Tom. Today I'll be reviewing a historical fiction novel, a sequel to a book that I previously reviewed on this channel. And I've got this book set to reveal to you. So let's start with that. Well, obviously there are 3 parts in the set, also known as a trilogy. Okay, what can I tell you about it? These books were published in 2006, 8, and 10, so they're pretty recent. They were published by an author who is not American or English. In fact, these books were not even written in that language. Yes, they were written in Chinese. Oh my. Now, what could this possibly be, right? A trilogy written in Chinese that I somehow own. Of course, they have been translated. And if you've seen other videos, then you know what genres I love and which are featured on this channel. So yeah, the genre is science fiction. Science fiction by a Chinese author. Gosh, I wonder what that is. Now, the author's name is of course impossible for me to pronounce since I have never studied Chinese, and I had to look it up. The author's name is Liu Cixin. Liu Cixin. I think that's it. Although on the covers of these books, you might see the reverse. You might see Cixin Liu, because Liu is his last name. And in Chinese, you would start by calling someone by his last name, not his first name. Unlike Arthur Clarke, right? That is his first name, Arthur. But this, in Chinese, you reverse that. So we have Cixin Liu is how you would read it on the book, but Cixin is his first name, and in Chinese you, okay, you get it? Yeah, we get it. We don't need a lesson in how to pronounce Chinese names. Fine. So what is it? The set is known as the 3-body problem, referring to the first book in the series. And look at that, they're perfectly aligned because these books are published by the same publisher, Head of Seuss. So they all look pretty uniform. The 3-body problem, part 1. Then we've got the Dark Forest, and finally, Death's End. That does sound ominous. You also notice that these books are getting progressively thicker as the series progresses too. That's what it means. So here we go. If you love the first one, then you'll have a blast with the other 2 because they're even bigger. I did read this one, the first one, some years ago. I bought it at an airport because I had forgotten a book to bring, and I was forced to buy something new. Oh my gosh, the humanity. But I really enjoyed that book. But then later I found out that that book is part of a trilogy. And so I acquired the other 2, and now I will pledge to read the whole series again, because that's what you're supposed to do with trilogies, right? Trilogies. You should read all of them in sequence. So that's what I'll do. All right, let's take a closer look at the nice artwork that I'm sure these books have. Okay, let's take a look at these books. First, we've got the 3-body problem, winner of the 2015 Hugo Award. So that means it's good, right? Well, yeah, like I said, I've read this. It's pretty good. The best kind of science fiction, according to another author. So, ringing endorsement there. Then we've got the Dark Forest right here. A sublime view of the cosmos. Looks great. Okay. And finally, Death's End. A unique blend of scientific and philosophical speculation, conspiracy theory, and cosmology. Even Martin read the book. Wildly imaginative. Really interesting. By another science fiction author, Mr. Barack Obama. Oh, wait. Wait a second. That's not a science fiction author, but that one is hefty and chunky. Good. So there you go. Nice trilogy. And that will keep you busy for a while. Okay. And what's going on over here? Excuse me. What do you think you're doing? That is totally inappropriate. Oh, yeah? Gosh. These cats nowadays, they have no manners. Hey, get down from there, you monster. Yeah, you're guilty of sin. Gosh. Fine. Right, so what was that book I referred to earlier? A sequel to... Am I recording? A sequel to a book previously reviewed on this channel? Yes. This is that book, The King Must Die, if you find it somewhere in my previous videos. I don't know which episode exactly. This is the sequel, The Bull from the Sea. Written by Mary Renault in the 50s. It's about Theseus, just like the first book, because it's a sequel. And if you are familiar with the myth of Theseus, most people might know about the Minotaur, the half-bull, half-man monster in the labyrinth. That's the Greek myth. Renault takes a little more of a realistic approach. She tries to tell the story as if it was a historical fiction narrative, not a fantastical myth. So everything that happens in the book could have really happened. There are no monsters. There are no gods. There are no spells and magical events. So everything, she takes on an approach as something that could have really happened. And I think that's fresh. That's nice. I have read the original myths as presented in other books, also reviewed on this channel. Edith Hamilton's mythology book covers all of this too. And if you've read those, then yeah, you are spoiled, right? You know exactly what will happen. But Renault, again, does do it in a different way. So you wonder, like, okay, I know everything that happens in a myth. How can that really be translated into something believable, something credible? Well, then you'll have to read it. Now, Theseus is the main character. He just came back from his adventure on Crete, where he defeated the Minotaur, and now he's back, and he has to start being a king. His father, well, that's also a tragic thing, right? His father, when Theseus left for Crete all those years ago, he said, if you ever come back, make sure to show the white sail on the ship so I know you're not dead. But Theseus forgot to do that, and so his father assumed that Theseus was dead, and he threw himself off a cliff. Now, for the story, that's actually pretty convenient, because now Theseus can be the king. And so he does. He becomes king. He starts with killing his enemies, so to make himself look tough, and then he progresses from there. Then he also goes on many adventures. And what Renault does here is she sort of puts in little Easter eggs into the story regarding other myths that she kind of intertwines with this one. Like you may have known about Jason and the Argonauts, where they go after the Golden Fleece and try to find the witch Medea. Well, Theseus does something similar. And I've always wondered, like, what's a Golden Fleece? Okay, that's explained too. What is a Golden Fleece? Well, that, and Theseus then meets his lover, Hippolyta, the queen of the Amazons, and he somehow convinces her, persuades her to come with him to his kingdom. And then they have a son, and then, well, I don't want to spoil the whole story, but can I? It's a myth. It's thousands of years old. What am I talking about? This is common knowledge, no? Anyway, because Hippolyta is not of royal blood, he cannot legally marry her because kings, they need to marry other kings' daughters, right? Princesses. If you remember from the first book or from the myth, then Phaedra, who is a little sister of, what's her name again? The other girl that he was in love with in the other book, Antiope. No, wait, what? Ariadne. Yes. See, it's confusing, all these names. Ariadne. So when Theseus was on Crete the first time, he met the princess Ariadne and he fell in love with her, but that sort of went south. And so he dumped her on an island and went back home. But he also remembers Phaedra, who is of royal blood, and so conveniently he decides to marry her because he has to. Now, poor Phaedra, she doesn't really get a good deal out of this. She has to accept, but there's no love really between them now. And then at the end, there's a big drama, like a Shakespearean drama, where there's confusion, there's mistrust, there is all sorts of broken promises. Is that true? I don't know, but it's a drama, and then it ends in a certain way. I'm not going to spoil that. You should read it. Really, it's good. So, is this a nice book to read? Yes. Even if you haven't read the original myth, you can still get a lot of enjoyment out of this. Although, if you have read the myth, then you will recognize some of the things that go on in the book. For example, Oedipus. Oedipus shows up. Well, if you know the myth of Oedipus, then you will recognize what's going on here. But if you have never heard of Oedipus and you see that coming in the book, then you wonder, what's that about? And you have to look it up. Well, do look that up. It's a very nice myth too. Yeah. So do I recommend it? Yes, I do. It's fun. Yeah, okay, if you know the myth already, then it's not gonna be super exciting. It's more like, oh, how can a myth turn into a real story somehow? How is that possible? And I think Renault does a good job at that. Okay, that's it for today. Thank you very much, and see you in the next episode. Bye.